Today, I am going to put y'all on a plugin feature that I don't see many, if any, people talking about. This concept is really powerful and creative. Just like you, I've watched too many YouTube videos about mixing, and I have not seen one video on the power of this feature that can help you achieve more width, more depth, more separation, better balance, and so many more things in your mixes, while also adding a layer of analogish flavor to your tracks. Even a lot of pro engineers overlook the usefulness of this nearly hidden plugin mode. If you use Pro Tools and you've ever wondered what the purpose of this is, I'm about to show you. So if you're liking the vibe, like and subscribe, let's get into the video. So in Pro Tools, when you're selecting plugins, you have the ability to select multi-channel plugin or multi-mono plugin. Now, if you select multi-channel, just use R compressor, right? So you see it looks normal up here in this window, but say if we just type in R comp and then we go to mono instead of stereo, now it's gonna come up multi-mono. So stereo is multi-channel, mono is multi-mono. We'll click that, and now look what happens. So there's a difference here. So if we pull up an instance of the stereo R compressor and put it next to the multi-mono R compressor, we see a little difference right here. If I use this compressor in stereo, normal stereo mode, it's going to react to the audio as one. If I use it in multi-mono mode, it's going to react to the left channel and the right channel independently. So if I click right here, I can switch to the right channel. It's going to compress the right channel independently from compressing the left channel. Now, just this concept can be super powerful, and I use this on all my mixes. And why this is very cool is because this is how consoles work. Like, a stereo track on a console is just two mono tracks. It's not like a stereo track in your DAW where you got one fader to control the stereo track. You have two faders to control two mono tracks that make up a stereo track. Hopefully that makes sense. But the thing about that approach is it gave the mixes an overall sound. It gave those mixes a certain sense of separation and depth and clarity and width because the left and right was different. But you're not only getting the difference of the left and right being played differently. Say, for example, if I double a guitar on the left, if I play a guitar and I pan it to the left and then I double it and pan it to the right, yes, it's going to sound different and it's going to be left and right. But then if I also run those two signals through mono channels in a console and I pan one, pan left, even if I EQ them the same, the EQ is going to be slightly different. So that's going to add to the separation and the width and the depth and the effect of that type of processing on these sounds. But then the console is going to add a subtle bit of saturation, and that's going to add a subtle difference of color to both of these sounds, furthermore subtly increasing that separation. Now, if you add that up over multiple channels, you kind of get this sound that people describe from analog. In this video, I'm going to go over some cool things and some cool tricks, so stay tuned to the end because I'm finna run it up for y'all with these tricks on this video. The beautiful thing is we have a DAW, so with the use of multi-mono, we can have more control, more flexibility. With multi-mono versus a console is just doing this automatically, we can be more specific with what we want out of this effect. Now let's dive into some examples. So if I go to these background vocals, we can make these inactive. If I go to these background vocals right here, we soloed this little section, I'll play it. So that's what we have right there. In this case, I'm using R compressor in multi-mono on all of these background vocals. So if I solo these backgrounds, let's zero out. Let's see how much this first set of background vocals, how much it's compressing. Negative 2.7. On the right, it was negative 3.4. Negative 3.5. So as you can see, the left and the right are being compressed differently. This is the first place that I love using this on, because oftentimes we stack a bunch of background vocals and the left and the right may be a little different. And in order for me to get a better, more even balance of the background vocals, I can have them compress the left and the right channel a little differently so that it balances them out more evenly. So I do that a lot, almost all the time on background vocals. And then I'll also do this often with the C4, so I get a little more overall tonal shaping, but not letting any frequencies pop out a little too crazy. So the left and the right are being compressed a little bit differently. Same thing with the limiter. Just little instances of really tucking these background vocals. Something I also do on background vocals, I didn't do it on this song, but sometimes I'll use the SSL channel from Waves and I'll put that in multi-mono mode. If you select right here, which is your master link button, it'll gray it out. So now I can EQ or I can compress or I can do whatever differently and independently from the left and the right. If I have this on and I turn this up on the right side, it'll just be mirrored, but that's okay because it is still going to be hitting the plugin a little differently. If you hold down Option and left click the letter right here, whether it's left or right, this is left, let's put this on the left, you can bring up the other side and you can see them both turning at the same time, right? Basically, we have our SSL console multi-mono right here. This is the left channel and that's the right channel. And if I click this and turn this off, now I can work this compression independently of the left. But what I'll do oftentimes is I'll EQ these background vocals. So let's bring these back, and all that box is asking is which channel is it going to retain. So if I have the compression set here on the left and the compression set this way on the right, if I link them back, it resets it automatically to whichever channel that you select. So if I select the left, it's going to reset this compressor setting back to the ratio of the left channel. But what I'll do, I'll EQ these background vocals.
So I just approve. So I just approve. So I just approve. So I just approve.
Some little simple basic EQ on there, right? And so then I'll bring up the left side and I'll unlink these, and now I'll EQ the left side and the right side a little bit differently. So maybe on the right side, I'll say I'll make them brighter but in different places. So maybe I'll use the bell on the right side and the shelf on the left.
So I just approve. So I just approve. So I just approve. So I just approve.
So now I'm creating a little bit of just subtle differences left and right. So let's do an A-B. Let's do this. So let's bring both of these down and let's A-B and see if we hear a difference. So we'll put the stereo version on top and we'll put the multi-mono version on bottom. So let's start with the stereo.
So I just approve. 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 So I just approve.
Now let's listen to this one more time, but I hear a distinct hole in the center where these vocals are just, they sound different on the left and right. Like they sound EQ'd differently, which is kind of a cool thing. And you obviously want to detail it to your own taste, but it's interesting.
So I just approve. So I just approve. So I just approve. So I just approve.
The biggest difference is that clear, distinct separation in the center. These vocals are still panned left and right, but when it's in stereo mode, you can still hear it's clouding the center just a little bit. When it's in multi-mono mode, there's a clearer hole in the center of both of these vocals. So that can help you achieve more with more separation. Maybe you have something in the center that you really want to be separated from what's on the left and right. This is something that you could do to help create that. Now, creatively, if we want to do something insane but cool, what if we created a parallel track and we do some extreme crazy EQ? We do that, we do this, not as much, bring that up a little bit. We can keep this, and maybe we want a little mid-range somewhere around here or something, and we boost some of that and we bring this a little bit lower, like 1K, and then we go crazy on the compression. Wow. So now we have this compressed background vocal thing that we can blend in, that's EQ'd in a weird, strange way, different on left and right, and now that's giving me an added spread, an added separation, and an interesting color that I'm blending back in. So this is what it sounds like.
So I just approve. So I just approve.
Right, so now we got this parallel going right here. I'll A-B that for y'all.
So I just approve. So I just approve. So I just approve. So I just approve. So I just approve.
Now that adds a cool color and a cool texture and EQ to these vocals that nobody else is gonna ever get. That's just something creative and cool. You can do it. It helps them to pop out more. That's a trick that I do sometimes when I got a lot of background vocals and I need to find a way to create separation amongst these background vocals. That helps me do it pretty much every time if I need to. Now let's go to some reverb. Let's go to the lead vocal. So in this case, I pulled up a multi-mono instance of deverb on this lead vocal. So if I play it right now, it's going to sound like the reverb is in mono.
Sleep
But if we unlink them and we go to the right, and we might as well just bring this up too. And let's just say we make the right a plate and leave the left a hall. Now we've created this crazy interesting space. Like, what's going on? We got a mono hall reverb on the left basically and a mono plate reverb on the right. They both obviously have different textures, but they're different decay times. You could do all kind of things with this. But to me it's so familiar, so I just approve. Clear skies above me, I asked the storm to invade, so the heavens can feel my abuse. Now that's interesting, that's cool. Like, you can do so many different things with this. I'm just opening y'all up to some ideas, some concepts, but there's no limits to this. Try things, experiment. Now what I might try doing is putting the meta flanger on here and kind of like swirling it a little bit and see what happens. But to me it's so familiar, so I just approve. Clear skies above me, I asked the storm to invade, so the heavens can feel my abuse. Interesting. That can be a cool effect. It could be anything. You feel me? Something to experiment and play around with. But even with that, we can bring both sides up again, and we can adjust the volume of the one on the left versus the one on the right. But to me it's so familiar, so I just approve. Clear skies above me, I asked the storm to invade, so the heavens can feel my abuse. Like, you could try this on vocals, you could try this on instruments and create an interesting space. Like, I often do this on instruments. I'll do it on an aux. Say it's an instrument that's kind of pan hard left, like a guitar. I'll have that instrument pan hard left. I'll put a reverb on it as a send, and I'll put maybe a plate on the right side and maybe a room verb on the left side. And I'll have the plate verb up louder than the room. So on the left, you hear subtly, or you feel just the reflections, the room space on that sound. But on the right, you hear that plate reverb. So it's kind of balancing it out. And I have that plate reverb up higher, but then I get that reflection of the room. And then I can adjust the pre-delay on the room and the plate to make it make sense for the track, and the decay and all of those kind of things. And it just helps to make a cool effect on that really quickly, and I don't have to pull up two reverbs. Now I'm about to show y'all a trick that I have not showed anyone, but because y'all have watched the video for this long, y'all deserve this trick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring these reverbs back, and you can do this with any type of saturation plugin, but a lot of times I'll do it with the NLS channel from Waves, and I'll put the NLS channel on multi-mono, right? So now the left and the right side is going to saturate independently of each other. So that's going to create a little bit of difference left and right of the reverb, and it's going to make the reverb feel a little more separated and a little wider. So let's make two instances of this. The top one, let's make it stereo. Let's go 1.5 on spike. We on spike 02 right here. And what I'll do is I'll uncheck this, and I'll go like 1.5 on the left, and I'll go to the right, and we'll go to spike 3 on the right. See, it automatically does it for you. See, Waves know how to work with the Pro Tools and your plugins, so they already know what I'm trying to do. You know what I'm saying? So I'll go 2 on the right side. On the left side, 1.5. On the right side, we're at 2. On here, let's maybe split the difference. And let's just go 1.7. We can even keep this dual mono, and you'll still hear the difference. So let's listen to stereo first, and I'm gonna crank the reverb up so y'all can really hear it. But to me it's so familiar, so I just approve. Clear skies above me, I asked the storm to invade, so the heavens can feel my abuse. I could be free, this ain't for me, so I happily put my head inside your news. All the toxicity, clearly the heading, my head to pad, I don't know what to do. Sleep, they say the y'all might not be able to hear that. It's very subtle, but I'm telling you, this added up and done strategically, it gives you that separation, that depth, that thing that people talk about, they miss about analog. Now I'm going to A/B it with the vocal in again, because I think it's a little more obvious with the vocal in. Sleep, they say the heart broken, but to me it's so familiar, so I just approve. Clear skies above me, I asked the storm to invade, so the heavens can feel my abuse. I could be free. Just listen to how when I go to the multi-mono one on the bottom, how the vocal becomes more clear. It's not as clouded by the reverb. Sleep, they say the heart broken, but to me it's so familiar, so I just approve. Clear skies above me, I asked the storm to invade, so the heavens can feel my abuse. I could be free, think this ain't for. And it sounds like the reverb just goes from like right here to just right there. Just that little bit. And it sounds like the center goes from like it's mixing to just, it's open and it blooms out from there. It just opens up the center just a little bit. Now, another place I do this often, again, when we were talking about stereo buses in a console, if I have a music bus, a drum bus, a vocal bus, all of those things are going to be sent to a stereo bus, most likely, depending on how you're using the console. On the console, they're going to be two mono faders, right? So in this case, I can do the same thing for my music bus. Let's just solo all the music. You can do this with any plugin. I'm just showing y'all Waves plugins because I think like most people have them, but I can cue the left and right differently. I can use NLS. We could drive it a little bit. We can go 2 on the left, go to the right, go 2.3, and let's just start there. Let's hear that. Now, y'all might not be able to hear, y'all might not be able to tell the difference, but it's just that subtle thing that people rave about from analog when they're talking about separation and clarity and depth and width and all of that stuff in their mixes. This is one of the things that helps them achieve that. But a big thing is how the left and right is hitting the saturation a little bit differently, you know. And then if I go into EQing my music bus, how the left and right is EQ'd a little bit differently. It's going to emphasize this even more. Now, this is not something that you want to go overboard with, just ever so slightly. This is similar to Plugin Alliance's TMT technology, right? So basically they're doing the same thing, but they automatically have it modeled into their plugins. So if I were to bring this up and us look at the EQ curve, you can see the left and right is different here. And if I EQ this, you see the left is a little bit different than the right. But if I bring this NLS channel over here, again, same thing. You see the left is different than the right. You feel me? Like same stuff. And then if I bring SSL channel over here, we go multi-mono, say I boost this right here, and then I go to the right and I shift that frequency over a little bit. Same thing, but now you have more control over it versus with Plugin Alliance plugin, it's preset to how they have it set up for you, which is still very helpful, but it's not necessarily exactly like how it would be on a console, but still very helpful. Now back to EQing, because again, this is something that I'll do subtly. I like to just start off by EQing a little bit and then I'll change it subtly after. So if we listen to this music, maybe we can make it a little warmer, a little fatter. And let's go to the right, bring up both of them. If you really play with this and take the time, like you can hear the weird stuff that's going on, but that's an interesting way of creating separation and difference left and right. Like this might be crazy, but it sounds interesting. And this is what came with those consoles. It had a little bit of a phasey thing, but it kind of tweaked the engineer's ears and everybody's ears. They kind of got used to that interesting thing that created this separation. But this is the cool thing, is you have the control over it. So we're going to dial this in a little less extreme and then A/B it. Let's put a stereo version because we might as well compare against a stereo version. And let's put the multi-mono on the bottom and a stereo on top. The multi-mono just sounds way bigger. Not even way, it's just a little bit bigger, a little bit wider, a little bit more separated, a little more interesting and cooler to the ear. So that's the video, guys. I didn't want to go super deep and super technical on this, and I'm sure I'll dive deeper into it more in the future. If y'all do want that, just let me know in the comments. If there are any videos y'all want to see, just let me know that in the comments as well. But I wanted to spark y'all's brain to this idea, to this concept, and using multi-mono more often because it's just not discussed and it's very powerful. I use it in literally every mix that I do, and I've never talked about it and I've never seen nobody talk about it, so it's like, well, I should probably talk about it. Now, you know we can't end the video without doing a YouTube member shout out. I appreciate y'all so much. I got live streams of me mixing songs live from start to finish on the YouTube membership, and every live stream that I do on YouTube and Twitch, it is going to be available on the YouTube membership. I got courses coming on there. I got a bunch of content on there already. If you haven't joined the YouTube membership, you're kind of sleep, because if I'm going ham on these videos, you know we going ham on the YouTube membership. So tap in, join the Discord. Without further ado, we got JR of 1989, Loop Layers, Gaz Shanksky, 8th Floor Productions, Hussein, Amos Watson, and Pit Stop Inc. I appreciate y'all so much for being a part of the YouTube membership. We going up over there. And again, if you're liking the vibe, like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all on the next video.